Hello, good afternoon, viewers. Again, this is Baramatu Voice Studio, beaming live from the city of Warri, the capital, the commercial nerve of Delta State, South-South region, or you call it the South-South geopolitical zone, Nigeria, Africa, and the rest of the world. You are welcome back to the program. The program is still Baramatu Voice Election Headquarters. Call it Nigeria Decide. You may not be far from the truth, or call it the Situation Room. Is equally in line. But for us, in order to serve you better, we chose Baramatu Voice Election Headquarters in order to accommodate every program that is related to having you well served with necessary information arising from the ongoing electioneering in the country. Today, we are like at the final stage of the election with the governorship and state houses of assembly that is currently ongoing as we speak. After this, I think every major exercise will be, will come on again. That will be in the next 4 years. So it's been a very busy season, a very busy period for everyone, both for the politicians, the citizens, that's the electorate, even Nigerians that are below the voting age. It is amazing what happened this period. The political awareness that occurred within the shortest period of time we find its way into various political books. Nigeria's experience in this electoral period is going to be studied by future political science students. Definitely, I can assure you that. And what triggered this change, or what triggered this sudden increase or awareness in our political sphere? It traces its origin to the movement of the former Anambra State Governor in the person of Mr. Peter Obi from PDP to join the then little known Labour Party, but now one of the major contending parties in the country. And with his movement to Labour Party, he became the presidential candidate of the party, and before you could know it, one thing led to another, and the whole nation, if I may use something like that, as in majority of Nigerians, the youth in particular, those in the social media space, all queued behind him. And for the past close to 1 year, it has not been so easy, for the politicians of old order, because they were taken unawares, and they have to fight and to ensure that they regain their political structures. Most of them, their strategies failed as during the presidential election, the presidential and the National Assembly elections. We saw the outcome of that result, and it could, that result we go Nigerians emerge members of the House of Representatives and co, and on and on and on. They are still pushing that, they actually won. That's not left for us to decide that here in the studio. That goes beyond even every one of us. It is only the court, the appeal court, and that of the nation's apex court, which is the Supreme Court, to decide what went wrong. But even while we wait for such outcome, there is this common denominator, and if you ask what could that be, and it is a fact that INEC claim of clean hands in that election, as they performed below average, to say the least. And why that experience, Nigerians have mourned that experience in the past 3 weeks. INEC as an institution, seems to have learned from their mistakes, going by what we have witnessed right from this morning till now. The election, the gubernatorial election and the state houses of assembly election that is currently ongoing seems peaceful, and the INEC appears to be, functioning the way a responsive and responsible organization or an institution bestowed with the responsibility of midwifing the election of leaders that will help pilot the affairs of the nation for a staggering number of 4 years should behave. So we applaud INEC for the effort so far, particularly from the areas we have received reports of they talked about the early arrivals of the INEC officials and the materials, voting materials and co. So it's been so wonderful, it's been so encouraging that within this shortest time frame, INEC could learn a very good lesson, and not just learning for documentation but putting it into practice. So for now it's too early to call, but Nigerians are like beginning to have that trust on INEC restored. But this is not like the information or the decision of the generality of Nigerians. So that will be an issue that will come when we must have concluded the entire process called electioneering period, and maybe there will be holistic analysis of how INEC fared. But as we speak, the current exercise that is standing before us now is to see through to to electing as governors 28 capable Nigerians, qualified and well informed in leadership, economics and the other areas, in ways that will help assist 28 states move from where they are, from where they should be. And fortunately for us, Delta, our very dear state, happens to be one of those states that we benefit from today's exercise, which is the process of electing new leadership to succeed the current administration in the state, anchored or chaired by no other than Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa. It's been a very long journey for the state, but that notwithstanding, if we should look at the number of people that have had contact in terms of leadership with the state and place it side by side with the level of development or growth recorded in the state, we may have every reason to worry. Worry in the sense that the state is blessed with enormous resources, both natural and human. And at every stage of management, one will be reminded that these are the two key indicators, or the two necessary resources that you need to do what? To develop or build a society. Now, in the case of Delta, we have these in abundance, yet we have refused, for yet to be identified reasons, refused to move forward. But for the seasoned political analysts, political and economic analysts, they believe that Nigerian problem, Delta State problem, is more of leadership. In fact, some people have gone a step further to say that the state is suffering from a resource curse. Resource curse, according to development experts, is no other than the ideology that states, societies or nations that are blessed with natural resources more often than not suffers leadership problems. And while states that are, natural resources disadvantaged are always blessed with good leadership, who usually make something out of nothing in order to keep the state going. Though that's not the kernel of today's conversation, but there is every reason to believe that argument. Why? It is simple. Like, going by available records, Delta as a state is the highest producer of crude oil as we speak, without anything substantial to show for it. Every well-meaning Nigeria, every well-meaning Deltan, need to be worried about the situation. And as we all know, everything starts and ends where? With leadership, as no nation can grow above its leaders. But the issue is, should the blame goes to the leaders like Truman, a one-time president of the United States, said that the buck stops here. That's at the doorstep of the leader. But in the present circumstance, I mean Delta State situation, can we just blame the leader? I don't think so. My reason is not far-fetched. Here in Delta, we keep doing one thing and expecting different results. And in Social Palace, we are told that that is the easiest or the simplest definition of insanity. We complain of bad leadership, yet we have not for once in the past 24 years of unbroken democracy in the state, stopped a governor after the first 4 years. We complain, then he's not doing well, but at the end, after 4 years, we vote him for the second term. So what that means invariably is that we are part of the problem, because whoever that is there at our Sadebe house, we are the instruments that worked in his favor for him to get to that place. But from all indications, the question that is, as important as this conversation is this: are we going to achieve that same deformed result, or is there going to be a complete shift in paradigm? While I may not be in a position to provide answer to this, we shouldn't worry much about it. Why? Because in few hours from now, we are going to know whether we've done well or not. But one thing stands out: Governor Kowa's administration, plus or minus, must end come May 29, 2003. That is less than 3 months' time. And there will be, an institution of new leadership. How that one is going to fare, we don't know, because one thing about the state is that we've always hoped, right from the year 1991, when Delta State was created, as a state carved out from the then Bendel State, we've always hoped that it will be better for the state. Even at some point our hope becomes hopeless, we hope again. So that has been, it has been in and out. But my major concern in this commentary, as it pertains to this commentary, is that out of the number of people that have led the state, we have so many military administrators as well as civilian governors, or popularly referred to the executive governors, democratically elected. But if you place their performance and inputs side by side, you may not say expressly that the democratic administrations in the state has performed better than the military administrations. Why this should be a source of concern to all is that before we were born, we were told that the best military administration is worse than the poorest civilian administration. But in Nigeria, I don't think it's only in this country that every formula or theory is being defied. You understand? And this is one of them, because the military, let's take a glance at them and see when Nigeria, the state was, Delta was created August 28, 1991. It was carved out from the then Bender State, like I said earlier. Then Bender State was formerly Midwest State. So from Midwest to Bendel, Bendel to Delta. Immediately Delta was carved out and called Delta State. Chijuba Uchulo, then a serving military officer, was appointed as the first administrator of the state. And he was there from 1991 till January 1992, before he was removed, and the state was blessed with the first executive governor democratically elected in the person of Chief Phyllis Ibru. Here, he won that position on the platform of this now rested Social Democratic Party. He contested against Professor Opia of the then National Republican Convention, and he won handsomely. Though Professor Opia challenged that victory, and at the tribunal, on and on and on, but at the end, he was affirmed the authentic governor of the state. But unfortunately, that victory did not, last for too long, as the military, before we could know it, came back to power and sent all of them packing. But before then, there were traces of achievements, like a study of that short period of reign of Felix Ibru shows that he was, focused and out to democratize agricultural sector in the state and infrastructural development. But everything, as they say, is history. When the military took over, Abdul Kadiri Shehu was appointed again as the military administrator of the state. He equally gave a good account of himself as the military administrator, though many people will say that no matter the performance of the military, that so far it is military, it is lacking in legitimacy. That is good, but when we told this argument, I don't know what we should be talking, or saying now. We elected people and things are not working. There are so many instances. After Asaba, for instance, Warri should be next area of, in fact, it should be the capital annex of Delta State. But a visit or a tour of Warri shows a city, or reveals a city that is crying for assistance. A city that stands as the textbook definition of neglect, underdevelopment, and lack of government presence. When you listen to government, at times you see government, they describe a place as a slum. They describe some communities as a squalor. What is a slum? Who made a place a slum, if not the government? A slum simply means, an area or a supposedly livable environment that is lacking in social amenities. Simple. So, if Warri is looking backward, looking rejected, is a sign that the place was abandoned by the various administrations, and on and on and on and on. So we think about all this, and that informs why there is need for us to make an effective change that will bring a democratized development in the state. It is very, very important, not just important, but ideal that we do so, for, if not for anything, for the sake of posterity. And we must do this for us to So just that, by the way, from apart from Shehu, the still under the military administrations at a time, Basil Asoko was equally appointed to administer the state. So he held forth here in the state between December 10, 1993 to 1994. Then, after that, he handed over to another military administrator, Ibrahim, the person of Ibrahim Kefas. He was here from 26th of September 1994 till 22nd of August 1996, approximately 2 years and some months. Then from there, another military administrator, took over in the person of John Dons. He was in charge of the state from 22nd of August 1996 to 12th of August 1998, approximately 2 years, before he now handed over to, should I say, our very own Walter Fegabo. He was, at the helm of affairs in the state from August 2nd, 1998 to May 29, 1999. Going by the number, it will not be, out of place for us to believe that the number of military, administrators surpassed that of the, what is it called, the democratically elected government. Yeah, so now we'll come back to this conversation, but we really need to join our correspondent who is currently at, Burutu local government to give us the update of what is going there. Hello? Hello?
I can hear you, Mr. Jerome.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. I said, how organized was the entire exercise? Wow, okay, that is fine. So there was no, hello?
Can you see the polling unit that is still doing their voting? Can you see the crowd?
Yes, I'm looking at it. Yes, I'm seeing it. Hello?
All right.
So then,
That is polling unit.
Hello?
Unit 8.
Okay, thank.
In Ward 7, Brooklyn local government area.
Well, all right, thank you so much. Then, a very vital information.
You see the canopy of people who are not in the hot sun, but there is a canopy where the people are filing out to go and vote.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I can see, I can picture the whole thing here. Yeah, very clearly. Now, for the polling units that have concluded the voting, was there a transmission of results straight to INEC portal?
Hello.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, those presiding officers, what they did is that those who have completed to transmit their through the DBAS.
Okay.
As soon as the collation is done at the polling unit, what they did is to transmit the result and screenshot it.
Wow. Okay, so there was no reason for concern this time around in any of those polling units.
Can you take that? You said what? There was
So,
no what?
so everything was, went as planned or as directed by INEC. Hello?
Yes, that is what I am seeing now.
Okay.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you. Hello?
What I am seeing here now, what INEC directed is what they are doing.
Okay.
Those who have completed their voting,
Yes.
transmit their results from their polling units,
Okay.
and they move to the collation center, and that has to be done by the collation officer.
Officer, yes. Okay, that's a good one. Are we, like the previous election, that is the presidential, are we expecting any form of surprises coming from that area?
Can you take that again, please?
I'm asking.
Noise. There is a little interference.
Okay, like what we witnessed during the presidential pool. Hello? Are we expecting any form? Yeah, are we expecting any form of surprise coming up from that axis?
What we are seeing is that those from the polling unit report that is transmitted, what will play out is the reality of voters that did participate in the exercise.
Okay.
I do not think there will be any form of, if this is what is transmitted and what is screenshot is exactly what is in the database, I think winner who emerged at the polling unit will remain the winner. And the loser who is the loser at the polling unit level will remain the same. But if there is any way that is contrary to the technicalities of the DIVA, that is another way that I cannot purely explain, because what we saw is that collect the result and transmit at that DIVA level. That is what the presiding officers did.
Okay, yes, but the angle I'm looking at it is this. In the last electoral exercise, during the presidential, Labour Party sprang a surprise. Should we expect a repeat of such move or such feat?
A repeat of what? What repeat are you talking about?
I said that Labour Party sprang a surprise in your area during last electoral exercise.
No. There is no any Labour Party action that it was previously on board. There's nothing like that. This time around, APC and PDP, those are the major parties. Labour Party obedient movement is not seen today at the gubernatorial and House of Assembly election that happening right in Ward 7, Brooklyn local government area of Delta State.
Okay, what do you think?
What will happen in the upland?
Yes.
But at the riverine level, what I am seeing in Brooklyn local government, I want to be precise, there is no any magic that the Labour Party will play at this level.
Okay, well, so what do you think could have led to that development that made the Labour Party to fizzle out less than 3 weeks after taking the whole nation by surprise?
Yes, what I see is that the obedient movement is a conscious movement for change.
Okay.
That is what played out at the 25th election, the obedient movement. But at this level, there is no any obedient movement. At the riverine level, I do not know of the upland where I'm reporting from.
Okay.
There is no any OB anymore. But what at the presidential at that time, there was this conscious obedient movement to vote for credible leader to represent them at the presidential level. But at this point in time, at the state level, at the community level, the two major parties, APC and PDP, are the dominant party. I do not even see labor agents too that is carrying out their functions like that at this level.
Okay, all right. Okay. Maybe we'll have to come back to you because we would like to speak with some of the electorates within the community. Hello.
Yes. Yes. Can you talk to someone here?
Yes, but we'll do that. We'll come back to you because we want to. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We will do that shortly. We want
I
to.
can hear you.
Yeah, we want to take a report from chairman,
Okay.
who is on the street also. Hello.
All right. So
Okay.
I will later come online.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. So you just have to excuse us for us to take chairman's report too.
How would you rate today's election?
All right.
Past 95%. That is the best. All right. So during the budget, people and from this local government. Thank you.
Ebitabel. Okay. Ebitabel. Hello. Okay. All right. We are experiencing some difficulties connecting to our reporter that is on the street. In fact, is at one of the one of the polling units. So as soon as we're able to do that, we will definitely get back to that to take that report. So it's still ongoing. Nigeria as a nation, Delta as a state is on the march to electing the governors and the state house of assembly, those that will pilot the affairs of the state, at the grassroots to the for the next 4 years. Yes, we elected the president and senators and House of Reps members on the 25th of last month, which is February. Now we are back to elect governors. We are practicing a federal system of government, and what you do to the right, you do to the left. After is 3 tiers of government: the federal, the presidency at the center, the state at the state level, and we have the local government. But because of the faulty nature of the federal system that we practice, the state seems to have squeezed life out of the local government areas. By right, the local government areas ought to be the closest to the people because they are those are the grassroots. But for now, they have succeeded in becoming the appendage of the state government. It's not what this comment, no state can claim of clean hands when it comes to that. It has nothing to do with Delta State alone. It cuts across board. There is a way the state government manipulates the local government chairmen, and before you know it, they all become toothless bulldog that only pay salaries and whatever. So we are looking for that governor that will give the local government the free hand to to implement their constitutional responsibilities, the free hand to operate without interference, because now we don't know whom to blame for the local government chairmen that have not been performing. You can't blame them. If you blame them, they tell you it's not me or it's the governor that gives me this and that. We have had series of such complaints here in Delta and a whole more from other states. So I do hope that as we vote, that we must have that in our minds and in a very, very strategic part of our brain, that we must vote as governors those people that will not interfere with the affairs of the local government, particularly in the state. Yes, if you ask, many people can't even tell you the name of their local government chairman. Why? Because their impacts are not felt. Yes, they see themselves as an extension of the state government. And to worsen the whole thing, is only in Nigeria that you see an appointed commissioner giving query to a democratically elected stagnation and deprivations that majority of the states are experiencing as we speak. Because you can't place something on nothing and expect it to stand. Those that drafted the constitution in their wisdom had something people into your government. Those that can help you brainstorm, formulate policies, churning changes in ways that will bring a total transformation and infrastructural democratization in the state. Simple. Just like no Delta, no Nigerian is asking the state government to come and put food on its table, but to make those policies, formulate those policies that will have far-reaching effect and create a conducive environment for businesses to thrive. That's what Nigerians are, asking their governors to do. And we believe that if you can do that, that at least we make you outstanding. It's like an info, it's like an expo to the incoming administrations. Yeah, Delta as a state has encountered so many challenges. It's like pockets of, problems here and there and co. And even it's boldly written, looking at the level of protest and as we elect lawmakers, we equally look at those that can, stand on the truth. Those that can question, government policies, not to heat up the polity, but to, through that process, ensure that the best policy is formulated. Yes, they should be in a position to do what? Critically analyze whatever that comes from the executive. It's not about, the governor sent, stamp here, sign there. No. Governance has passed that level. And this is what I should expect the incoming governor and the incoming lawmakers in the state to understand and recognize. What I think we must do, what I think we can and should do as a state is to do what? Recognize that the era that people used to say that government has nothing to do in business has passed. Now, across the globe, governance is approached from business mentality. Until we reason at that level, it will continue to be difficult for us to break out of the current economic crunch and the infrastructural decay we have in this state. Yes, there are so many options that the government, the past administrations in the past 24 years of democracy in the state has not been able to explore. And even if they are willing to explore those options, it's because of lack of transparency that prevented, businesses not to thrive here or investors not to come. You don't go If the investor, they say, want to make money, and he's looking for where to get that opportunity, you don't need to beg an investor. Once an investor, he has that nose for business. Once he sees that, oh, Delta is good for me, Delta is this, is safe, is secured, and that if the needed infrastructures are there, they will come. I see each time I'm on shows such as this, I condemn this act of government, like the state governors traveling abroad, gallivanting from Japan to UK, from UK to America, telling you that he's doing investment drive. They are just wasting the people's money. Yes, the world is a global village. If if Delta State government is doing well, we don't even need to travel to China to tell them. They know the right they know the right place to go. When China went to Zamfara to assess their gold, I don't think the Zamfara state governor went kneeling or begging in China before they go. Everybody, they are profit oriented, so they should look for opportunities. Where opportunity abounds, they should equally, do what? Seek that opportunity. The same thing is applicable. Most of the oil companies and coal left this state. Now we are like, it's only a soothsayer's house that remains for our state government to go in order to bring them back. They will not come back. Why? It's not a rocket science to get them. There are some indicators, and they are looking up to. I guess when the environment is suitable for them, they will as well find their ways back to the state. So the next governor of Delta State definitely has a whole lot of work to do. That one is a concluded issue, and as we vote, we should equally have this information in mind. Looking at the different democratically elected government, what is happening in Delta could be likened to what is happening at the federal level. The truth is that, like, if you go to any of the nursery schools or primary schools and tell them, okay, do you know what? Give me an instance of a good leader in Nigeria. All of them will tell you, Chief Obafemi Awolowo and Chief Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe and co. It has a lot. That statement or answer has a lot of connotations. And if you may ask why, the truth is that, are we now telling ourselves that after this, first brigade of leaders in the country, that we've not had any other leaders? Today.
Thanks so much. I'm okay. I'm fine.
Okay. Well, you are as we speak, you are in Bayelsa.
Yes, I'm in Bayelsa.
Okay.
Right now, I'm in a black consensus too.
Wow.
In a place they call Polako.
Okay.
You can hear some background voices at the back.
Yes.
They are also, singing in praises of who they have supported.
Yes.
It's not about party now. You see those from minority parties coming out massively, to exercise their voting rights.
Right, yes.
In Polaku, it was 22. We had an incumbent that has been there for 2 tenors, but the people here,
they enjoy what I tag the staggered election in the country.
Yeah.
So, has that not in any way impacted both positively and negatively at the ongoing exercise?
Well, we can say it has, even without the governorship election, because this is grassroots people.
Okay.
The people that liaise with the people, they are the grassroots that are well known there, that are well known, in the society.
Yes.
So there is massive turnout. Massively, that the turnout is quite massive, and the people are supposed to know, unlike the governorship, these are out of assembly that is holding.
Exactly.
And it is really commendable that people are really coming out very, very well. And I want to commend the people of this place for going out. People are going out, campaigning for different parties, and no form of attack. So that is quite commendable.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about INEC. Is there any appreciable improvement when placed side by side with the previous, the experience Nigeria had on February 25th on the hands of INEC?
This time around, you can see that
INEC, the people are working, and everybody seems to be on the election man.
Yes.
There are human factors. So you don't expect INEC to give you 100%.
Yes.
I am so sure that in the southeast, you can see the massive turnout in the southeast, where for obedience, for instance, 11 scoring 580 something thousand to 5,000. How will you describe that? So I think people should come out, irrespective of this. You have the courts at the end of the day. Not get your difference. If you have anything you're not satisfied with, we'll take it to the court and let the court take that decision. And that's why the court, after the election. So it's not a right thing for you to say because of you people last time and your candidate is not declared, they are not coming at this thing. People should exercise their franchise. Like what is happening in this community, this axis of the development government.
Okay.
Where you see people coming out massively to exercise their franchise, and it's peaceful. The whole place is peaceful, there is unity, there is oneness. And at the end of the day, whatever INEC declares, will be accepted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a very good one. But, there is a saying that when one points out a problem without proffering solution, the person becomes part of the problem.
Yeah.
So, April 25th.
Yeah.
Should we still expect the old order, or we should expect something new and different in the forthcoming gubernatorial election in the state?
Well, like I said, the last election has to do with presidential election and the National Assembly elections.
Okay.
But this particular election is for these, people they know. And that involves the massive turnout you are seeing, in the various places, because it is who you know. You know this person stays in my community.
Yes.
It is assembly election that they know. So a lot of persons are really
Mr. Ebi, yes, okay. The Light, yes, a very, very visible newspaper in Bayelsa State. Okay, thank you so much, sir. Yes, okay. You're welcome, all right. Okay, viewers, you are welcome back to the studio. Again, like I said some seconds back, the words of Mr. Ebi. Back to the conversation before we got connected to him. Yeah, we are talking about how to make this electoral exercise rewarding for all, and Delta State in particular. We have looked at the areas of the military administration in the state, how, like on yearly basis where a particular military administrator will be posted to the state, and on and on and on. But despite their short stays in the state, they contributed. If you compare their contributions within those, if we equally bring in the right people to help brainstorm and, design effective and efficient policies that will transform the state from the current state, from the third world state to a first world, I think it's equally possible. We have so many Deltans scattered across the world and doing exceedingly well. There is no place like home. Most of them will be ready to come back if invited with sincerity. Yes, not invited to be polluted. Those are just the issues that we, the electorate, should be putting into considerations as we file out to cast our votes today. Nigeria and Delta in particular, he remains leaders, because if my friends keep saying each time we're analyzing governance and development, in the state, they will tell you that after him, the governance went on break. Though I don't expressly believe, but there is always a sense in every nonsense. And if you look thoroughly and critically, you will equally see that he left and imposing marks on the sand of time. And he handed over to Dr. Emmanuel Uduaghan, and himself equally brought some remarkable policies that assisted Deltans, like in the areas of health and effective transportation system, everything, these particular areas, health, this whatever, the beavers machine.
Yeah.
Okay, so come again, please.
Okay. So the leaders of all progressive Congress yesterday, the local government leaders yesterday, they raised an alarm over some beavers machine. So, and that has been the challenge that is happening. Although when we get there, the beavers are there. So, but they say that because they might have tempered those machines, those materials.
Okay.
So they cannot use those materials to food.
Okay. Okay, but
That is just because the material, all the material are intact, everything are correct, but they said, according to the INEC official I talked to, they said those materials have not been configured. So they are taking them back to Obijo to reconfigure. That is just it.
okay.
They say the materials have not been configured. The material have been taken back to Obijo to be configured. That is just it. But all the materials are intact here.
Okay. Okay, but yes, for the purpose of clarity, were those beavers machines taken away in the first instance?
That is what I just said. The beavers machine was taken away for configuration. That is what they said, according to the INEC official that is in charge of them.
Okay.
But I think the two parties, and the parties on ground, the party agents and the party leaders, they misinterpreted the whole situation. And that is why the whole situation is like that.
Like that, okay, exactly. But hello, yes, we need to be holistic in our conversation. Were you able to ask the INEC official why they were not configured before bringing it in the first instance?
No. I think I did not ask the INEC official that.
Okay, so from interpretatively, it goes to say it, okay?
Yes, for what he is saying, the person in charge of it that came late, the person that let me say that followed the message that did not know anything
Okay, all right. So you are still keeping vigil, waiting for them to commence the voting.
Yeah.
Okay, but
vigil,
exactly. Okay.
But I don't think this is going to commence to be my experience, because I think everybody is just all the party agents have come to their various places.
Okay.
So I'm just right here with the material and some INEC official.
Okay. Is it possible to speak with the INEC official?
No, where I am now, because of the network challenge,
Okay.
I can't just call them.
Okay.
Because the person in charge is not even right here. It's with, let me check around if I see how we.
Okay. Okay. All right. No problem. So, but what's like the atmosphere generally like in the area?
The atmosphere here is beautiful. Everything is okay. There's no cause of alarm. Nothing is happening. Everything is calm. That's just the
Okay, and if not because of this beavers challenge, people actually turned out to vote.
Yes, the turn up was much. The turn up was really much this morning.
Okay, was it higher than the previous? Was it higher than the previous one?
Yes, the turn up was very high.
High.
Because I think all the old women, youth, but because of this challenge, because of this alarm given by the APC and from other parties, the whole system just gone.
Okay. Okay, now see, we're not like trying to preempt, but let's assume that if the election is postponed till tomorrow, do you see the same number gathering again?
Come again.
If the election, let's assume, is postponed till tomorrow, do you see the same number that gathered today, do you see them gathering again?
Now, I don't think so, but because people came from various angles, but I think if the election is going to take place tomorrow, and if the election is going to be postponed tomorrow, that same number will come back.
Okay.
I think that same number because everybody on ground.
Okay, all right. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for this report. And, we appreciate your effort in this direction. And chances are that we may call you again for updates. And, so when we call, we request that you do humbly be gracious to answer us. Again, many thanks, and do enjoy. Have a pleasant, evening.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome, my brother. Okay, that was the voice of Tari. Tari is one of our correspondents. He reported from Buruza, but Ward 2 in Baramatu Kingdom. So you all heard from him that as we speak, that election has not started in that ward because of a kind of something that happened over the misplacement or whatever of the beavers machine. But the major outcome of his being there now is that he's been able to confirm that it was a mix-up and a kind of a false alarm. So why so that's like the major information that we got now. So we equally call on INEC to look for a way to organize that election for them. If not today, maybe possibly like they did in the previous elections where they postponed it to the following day. But it won't be a very nice commentary if election fails to, hold in that ward. For a reason is, the ward parades huge number of voters. So not conducting election there will equally translate to disenfranchising so many of the Niger Deltas. We know the people of Warri South, their voting strength, tops every other local government in the state, and we should use it to understand the devastating impact getting them disenfranchised we have. So I don't think it will be nice. It's not a problem, it's a challenge that INEC can handle. effortlessly. So we call on INEC to, look into what is going on there and ensure that election is conducted. If not, if we are looking at the time that the time will not permit today, it won't be out of place if rescheduled till tomorrow. Yeah, it will still be with the same time frame. So that is it for now. Then we're talking about political developments in the state. We've talked about the military administrations, how it was like every year one military administrator, and despite that, despite the shortness of their stays in the state, they were able to contribute meaningfully towards the socioeconomic and political development of the state. Yes, and why we need to commend them is that if you look at their achievement, coupled with what the various democratically elected governors have equally contributed to the state, there is no more. The only difference is in the name, military and civilian. In terms of achievement, there is no much difference. I can even, allude that the military appears to have, impacted positively more than they did this, despite the fact that the majority of them weren't from Delta. Some of them weren't even from the Niger Delta region, but they were able to some extent, relatively, get to, leave impact or made impact in the state. I was talking about the Can we? Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, Jerome.
Okay. We can go on. Okay, all right. Okay, yes. Come online.
Yeah.
I can hear you. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. The election, just like it's predicted, it has been the hell we witnessed.
Okay.
Currently, we have two Arise News TV reporters. Their media crew are attacked somewhere in the Lagos Island. Also, Channels TV, they attack their reporters too. They injured, seriously injured.
Jesus.
Some locations, like in Agor, where you see some electorate and members of the Axis residents, they have to bring in their dogs, barking, chasing away dogs. There are much fighting. In Jeremy Pelodu here, we see some shooting, dogs shooting, and it's more like an exchange of power between the police operatives, the security operatives, and the dogs. Even some electorates we are scared of even coming out. I was able to discuss with about some residents across the zone where I operated, somewhere in the Lagos mainland, and the response were not encouraging, as they said this is the worst election they've ever witnessed
in the state.
In the history of Nigeria. A man that I spoke with, he said he has been voting since 1951. He has been voting in Nigeria, and he can clearly say this election it's a no-go for anybody, as whoever the person that the match comes out, they will all align with his policies. However, the election is just so out of order.
Wow. Okay, yeah, this may sound trivial, but I'm going to ask it. Who are these thugs?
According to some sections, like in Surulere, we witness some thugs that we are, in quotes, they celebrated themselves as APC supporters, and even some particular region there in Surulere, they have to burn the ballot paper, the ballot box, rather, the election election papers. Everything was just damaged, chairs, plastic, chase people around, and majorly the APC supporters, I must suggest, because most of the supporters are not aligning with them. You know, we are looking at I'm not too sure, but it's more like a tribal war between some sections of the Igbos and the Yorubas as regards to who owns Lagos. Thank you.
Wow, this is shocking. This is very, very shocking.
It's really shocking.
It's very shocking.
You see, most of the supporters for Labour Party, they have majority of the Igbos. From what I understand, they have less population. Even most of the results have been tricking in, but thus far so good. The GRUB candidate is on the edge. At least he has, from what we have seen from most of the polling units.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks so much. Yeah. But it's making me feel uncoordinated. But we must, summon courage and go on, because it is part of the expectations as a media professional. Yeah, but if I may ask, has there been any word from the Lagos State government?
Immediately, the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu casted his vote. He made mention of the Nigerians should come out and vote. Lagosians per se should come out and vote. That anybody that tries to engage in violence will be totally dealt with, and that this election should be seen as a civil issue and should be seen. We are operating a democratic government, and everybody should be free to speak, free to move, free to vote, free to do whatever they have to do. As this is a democratic government. But I will be shocked to tell you that the reverse was the case.
Reverse, in fact, okay. Wow, and but INEC is still going on with the election.
Absolutely, they are going on. They are going on with the election. Absolutely. But Jerome, my concern is the issues from attack from the media. I begin to ask myself questions. Why are they attacking media? Personalities, reporters? You can see even the one of the Arise TV that was attacked. Funny enough, it was even the police operative that even attacked the Arise reporters. They even seized their drone, and they are taking them. At the moment, we are not aware of their location, as they are still being looked out for. And also the one of China's TV, you find that these are issues that we keep asking ourselves, why are the media being attacked? Because we are supposed to, our work is to keep the stories, talk how it happened. We are not involved in the process. We are just only there to see what we saw. And why would we be attacked for giving what we saw? Even most of us, we are going to be in the coverage to be able to give out our reports, which is not supposed to be. We're supposed to come out freely. You cannot even stand in any of the polling units that you are trying to transcribe a report. It looks like you are committing a sacrilege. So, and even most persons are even agitated. If you look at the horrible scene for most of the places in Lagos, you see machetes, bottles, batons, dogs. You see all sorts of things, and you ask yourself questions: is this really an election or a warfare?
Wow. So now, but like it is said that there will never be a smoke without fire. Interpretatively, will it be wrong to say that this is a sign of the fact that someone somewhere perceives that he's about losing grip of the state?
We cannot we won't go into the extreme to actually contain such information.
That's why I'm coming in by way of analysis.
I would say, rather than saying that, I would say we have a situation whereby some leadership, some persons that want to be leaders at all means. Even when the people don't want you to be the leader, you want to be the leader. It's more like an imposition stuff that was always seen. And some particular set of people, they're not wanting the fame, the leadership, the being on top. They don't want to lose any track. They want their team to be there, aligning so that. Look at the case, for instance. There's a state we have one of the PDP aspirant in one state. In the public light, in the daylight, there sharing this new currency we are talking about. We're looking for sharing it in the light, and nobody is saying anything. Even when we have the security operative, I will shock you to say that the security operative is even counting the people. Oh yeah, you go, it's your turn. Take your own money. You go, take your turn. You see issues of that kind. So I believe some particular set of people want to remain in power, and they don't want to lose power. They want it at all costs. So it's more like a personal agenda. Now, and a personal agenda that they are luring every dick and Harry to be at the forefront, so causing more chaos. So these are individual issues, personality that have been on top. They don't want to lose that grip. They just want to continue staying there. So that's the issue I see here. I don't see there's no tribal war. Rather, there are people, there are personalities that are trying to be seen as the god and trying to use masses to cause disruption.
Or better still, can we refer to what is going on as an elite struggle?
That could be. Will I call it a struggle? I don't see it as a struggle. I see it more like it's not a struggle. It's per se. It's something that is being done in purpose. So when you say struggle, you mean that these are people that are agitated? No, they are not agitated. They are like, we own it. It's my property. I see personalization of a seat, like personalization of office. That's what I see here.
Wow. Okay, now, like I keep saying that if you point out a problem without proffering solution, the person becomes part of the problem. What do you think is the way forward, sir?
For me, Jerome, I think we need to call. There's need for a total holistic, will I say, overhauling of the system. This is a systematic thing. There needs to be a total change of system, and this is going to take serious it's going to take serious, and there's going to take a lot of involvement from various parties to come to actualization. For you to change the system, you have to zap out many things that are actually causing the issue.
Yeah.
They have to pick some policies that is going to stand in there and say this policy is going to stand in. Whoever go against this policy will likely go to jail. Will likely be in prison. You know, there need to be a change of system, change of a pattern. The leadership, I must tell you this, while some international communities still commend the leadership of the current INEC, I must say, in my own category, this current INEC is a failure. The current administration is a failure. So we need the need for a total overhauling of the system, because the 2015 election, I say thus far remains the best to date.
Wow.
To date.
This is
So
pathetic, because
there needs to be a system adjustment.
because instead of why it's pathetic is that instead of building on the foundation that we have laid, we are like destroying whatever that is left.
Yeah, we're going backward. We're going back. It's more like we are counting 3 steps forward. We are counting more than 10 steps backward. So
it's antithetical.
Which is pathetic.
Pathetic. Yeah. Now, okay, you know, in every situation, irrespective of how challenging or complex it may seem, we need to figure out something good from it. Let's assume by midday tomorrow, somebody is announced, you know, the governor of Lagos State, emanating from this process. Will you, accept that election as credible, irrespective of whoever that is announced?
It all depends. We're going to be looking at it from the category for zoning. For instance, if they're going to say this local government, this region that have some electoral malpractices, we are going to yank it off.
Okay.
Why those that are okay, that we have good results, we have not just results I mean in terms of the electorate were not disturbed, there was no form of intimidation, and everybody, the process was carried seamlessly without any form of intervention from both the talks, the effects of the political guns. If we get such issue, I would say yes, we could carry out with whatever result that comes in. But when we have a situation whereby me and you know the places that were well, for instance, the place somewhere like Ikate, Legoshi, where we have an issue, major issue, and you come back and tell us that yes, this so region actually have the highest vote of one particular candidate, and that is what, you know, there's going to be a bias. So it will not totally go down well with whoever is the principal of whatever party.
The person will emerge from.
Yeah.
Oh, that is very, very serious. It is serious. Okay, but you know, like I keep saying, what lesson do you think that Nigerians could draw from all this?
Not quite long, I was speaking with a friend of mine that actually was part of the people that went out to vote.
Okay.
Do you know what he told me?
Yeah.
If you have an opportunity for me to travel out of this country, give me the opening. I will follow you.
Follow you.
You can imagine. This is one of the best elections in terms of numbers.
Yes.
Because many persons actually came up and said, we want to vote. We knew, me and you know the issue within the south, the southeast region, the chaos. But you can see the numbers coming out there from the election. Now you can see they're shooting somewhere.
Yeah.
I just have to excuse myself. They're shooting. This is more like scaring people. Everybody is running after scatter. So these are the issues we get here. So I just have to hide myself now there because I have to be careful.
I can understand.
So you see, so these are the issues we have. We're not standing in a safer ground where people can actually come out and say yes, they actually have the best election. No, what we have here is the best numbers. We have the best number for the worst election. So yeah. So what I can draw out from this election, I can tell you categorically, it's yes. Truly, people we see people genuinely wanting to get their leaders. They want to vote the leader they want. But we see a system whereby we see a system which is the INEC failing to actually recognize the plea of this citizen.
Okay, sorry, sir. For to make this conversation rewarding for our viewers, you said you see INEC. Is it? I'm not like holding brief or fought for INEC, but what is going on in Lagos? If you look at it, is it the problem of INEC or the non-state actors trying to overrun INEC?
Okay, thank you, brother. Thank you. That is a very serious question and very important question.
Thank you, sir.
Now we look at the situation. If we look at the previous election and we look at this one, we always see something synonymous. For instance, the previous one, we have the people there that actually caused the chaos, and we see the INEC itself that is, despite seeing the issues, you still went ahead to declare a particular entity, which we found out. And we understand that there were many compromising development within that happened that caused serious panic, whereby people were not well detailed about the situation. So you see, the first election, when we look at it, we see now these are shootings.
Shootings, yes, I can. Yeah.
You can hear it. Yeah. You see, I have to call you back so that I will run for shelter to avoid.
Okay, yeah, it's understandable, my brother. It's understandable.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for the time and the report. We obviously appreciate, and we will continue to pray for your safety and that of others in Lagos. Yes, sir.
Thank you. The situation here is getting worse.
Worse, yeah.
Worse. So thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. All right, okay. Yeah, when the situation subsides, we can talk more. Okay, all right. Thank you, all viewers. You can, this is like the most shocking aspect of our report, the reports we have received today, that it has turned to, full-blown war in Lagos. So, we from here we heard the shootings and everything. One thing I would like, viewers to understand is that Nigeria as a country and Nigerians as a people have one common enemy, and that one common enemy is leadership. Irrespective of what politicians will tell you today, you need to think outside the box. We don't need to kill ourselves. We don't need to attack each other, because the person that is telling you to rise up in arms against your brother, is even a sign. You don't need a soothsayer to tell you that it's not, planning good for you and your family. You, and we appreciate your time, the way you've stood by us, the way you glued to the station, listening to our conversations. It's been wonderful. We thank you once again, and it's an interactive section, yes, and we would expect you to give us your feedback if you have any contributions to make based on all we have been saying. Please feel free to do that using any of our social media platforms. You can go to our comment section and drop your comment, or better still, if you want to speak with us directly, call the number on your phone, or please, and always do remember to follow Baramatu Voice on any of our social media platforms, please. And again, many thanks. Then back to what we were saying before that brief interruption. We are talking about the leaders, so-called leaders, because even there is a very big doubt whether these people are actually leaders or people that are into power grabbing. If not, it's only in this country that someone will go to his people and say, okay, do you know what, I want to represent you. The people will say, no, we have a better option. He will insist, no, I must represent you people. Yeah, if that is not the case, I don't see why people should be recruiting thugs to go and fight on his or her behalf, all in the name of because of his undying and unrelenting quest for power. You know, the case of Lagos State is an example. But even at that, if what is happening in Lagos happened overtly, what is happening in Delta as a state is even covertly worse. So what I think we should do is to, look at ourselves, tell ourselves the truth. That person that is pushing you, engineering you to go and fight on his behalf, he should do well, to demonstrate good leadership in that direction by bringing one of his sons or daughters to be at the front. Our time has come for our youth to start asking ourselves, themselves good and the meaningful questions that will help them, carry out a holistic reform and a reorientation of self. During the elections, the politicians come to you, carry you from one part of the state to another, campaigning, and as soon as he's declared the winner, like today, by Monday, if he's going for his collection of certificate of return, he goes with his wife and kids. All will be clad in what? White, native, or brown, or green. And people like you will be shut out. There is a need for you to ask yourself, if you are good at, a campaign, if the man means well, for you, you should equally be good to accompany him to go and collect what? The certificate of return. Why I'm particularly concerned and have to say this is that this has been happening every 4 years. And nobody will deliver you except you delivering yourself. There is need for you to reason outside the box. Somebody that comes to you every 4 years and disappears till the next 4 years can't claim to be your friend. It's as simple, as that. You need a rethink. And do you know what? Another thing also that you must put into, reflect deeply about is the act of violence in election. If truly leadership is service, you don't need to fight for it. You don't need to, destroy property, kill or do that for you to achieve it. Offer yourself. If the people reject you, you go back to where you came from. And more reason why this is happening is that more often than not, some of these politicians has taken that politics as a career or a profession. Yeah, their life started with briefcase and portfolio. They gain power, and they are clueless about where they are going to if they leave position, and that is why they do everything to remain relevant. It's becoming very, very paramount on us, and this is not the time to start, stay on the fence or fold your arms. Yeah, if not, if we do and if we fail, we have a lot of explanations to make, because we may definitely leave a country or a nation or a state, as in the case of Delta, that will be worse than the way we met it, and our children will ask us series of questions. I don't think that will be a very good development. That shouldn't be the way to leave inheritance behind for our kids. If you must leave, let it be something positive. If you have no property to leave, be among those people that cause change in the state. We have talked about different administrations, their relatively low contributions. Now, we talked about James Ibori. For those that have, that are joining us now, we talked about how he brought, some sprinkles of infrastructural development and what have you. And from him, we graduated to the era or the leadership provided by Dr. Emmanuel Uduaghan, who led from 2007 to 2015, May 2015. Yeah, when talking about him, we focused more on his infrastructural development and that of health democratization. He actually, contributed so well. Yeah, we are now being joined by one of our very own, a regular guest here at the studio. In fact, he's a stakeholder. Yes, Chief Sheriff, good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
We are doing very well, and you?
Oh, great.
Okay. Now, Chief, it won't be wrong to say that, we have taken the ball to the 18 meters box.
Yes.
And once the ball is inside the 18-meter box, anything can happen. Do you believe in my analysis?
Of course.
Okay, so what has the experience been from morning till now, as a very key stakeholder in the Delta State project?
Well, currently, I think the long-awaited I think is making progress.
Okay. So the progress, is it appreciable or just progress that exists in the frames?
Well, that is an appreciable level because we cannot use those pockets of issues to vary the progress that have been made so far. Okay. So those are just pockets of issues, and they are bound to occur as in any election. So exactly. We are making great progress.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your objective analysis. Chief, but before your arrival, we've had that fortunate opportunity to speak with some concerned Deltans, and there is this common denominator that they shared. Most of them said that that deviation that occurred in the February 25th election, where the obedient group sprang a surprise, appears to have died down, that the electorate have gone back to their traditional APC and PDP. Did you observe that while on the field?
Yes. We experienced that. The presidential election, the obedient movement was mainly on the Obi himself, yes, and not for the governorship and House of Assembly. Okay. So most of the yearnings for Nigerian youth were mainly to change the narrative at the presidency, okay, which they expect to trickle down to the bottom. But unfortunately, since they couldn't secure it, the empathy to vote, the zeal, and the commitment of the youth, I think it dropped, and that is why they didn't show much interest in the election. It seems as if their vote did not count, because if their vote counts, and which constitute over 65%, they believe that the election is supposed to be
in their favor.
If it's free and fair, they believe it will be supposed to emerge. But unfortunately, maybe because of the outcome. I think,
okay, going by your analysis now, was that decision correct?
Well, may not be 100%, but I think there are some reasons behind.
Okay, that abandoning the project just because the first part of it failed.
Of course, even if you are involved in something, and when you knew that people are not honest, people are not sincere, people are not committed to the project, then you will not be fully appreciated by it.
Okay, all right. Okay, Chief, there is, before your arrival, there have been so many concerns expressed here, and as an experienced nation builder, you will assist us throw more light to all these challenge. First of all, Nigerians and Deltans in particular keep complaining about bad leadership. But despite this complaint, every governor we elect do 8 years. So, are we sincere in our complaint, or what's your take? If we can complain that this leadership is bad, I think the right thing to do is to remove the person after the first term or the first term. So, how come? Is it that we are doing it deliberately, or they have a way of hand twisting Deltans or Nigerians to get back for second term? What do you think is the factor that keeps this form of occurrence going in the country?
Well, that is why the opportunities for 4 years is available. So any individual or governor who fail to perform to the expectation of the people, the next electoral cycle, you are expected to vote them out if they didn't perform to your expectation.
Yes.
But we know those corrupt factors are there, and that is why they keep their citizens in that poor situation, so that they can always manipulate them to that level. And so, but I think the electorate are getting exposed, getting wise. So we will always get it right very soon.
Okay. So what you are saying is that, you know, that all hope is not lost.
All hope is not lost. All hope is not lost.
All lost. Okay, all right. Okay. Thank you so much. So, what is going on at the state level? Because we have class in the class of classes. While we are interested in Nigeria, we are more and particularly interested in what happens in Delta, because that's like our primary constituency. Again, I ask, Chief, what should Deltans expect at the close of the ongoing exercise?
Well, what we should expect as a people is to have the good governance and a governor that will meet the yearnings of the people of the state. And that is why Deltas, I believe, have come out a march today to select, to vote through the ballot box for the next governor, the next leaders of the state. So the outcome, I strongly believe, will reflect the expectation of Deltas. And when the people emerge, Delta should give them the maximum cooperation and support, so that the dividend of democracy can be felt across board, irrespective of the party. When you, yes, it is clear that when you run under a party, you are running as under a party, because the party is the vehicle that will convey you to your destination.
Exactly.
But when you have arrived at destination as a governor or as an House of Assembly member, you are no longer representing the party, you are representing the people. So that is where our politicians are missing it. You don't say, because I arrived this position under the platform of PDP, under the platform of APC, under the platform of Labour, so I am representing the people of Labour. No. You are not representing the good people of that constituency or the good people of Delta State. So you said you volunteer yourself to be a governor.
Okay.
And you want to serve us. So when you become the governor, you are no longer a governor of PDP, neither a governor of APC. And you need to be a governor. You need that orientation. We need to change the mindset of our leadership.
Okay.
I think when they become governor, when they are elected, they need to undergo some retreat. Retreat of leadership.
Okay.
We are lacking a lot of things. Our leadership need to go a retreat. We are not all those political retreats that they will organize to go and waste our resources. They need to go thorough retreat, so that they know how to govern the people, know how to manage the people, know how to motivate people, know how to create the enabling environment, so that the states that you are going can be peaceful and you can woo investors to the state.
Well, thank you so much, Chief. But you know, like I keep saying, we have class in the class of classes. We need to go down. We are all Deltans, but we need to travel down to your community. Chief, what is going on there?
Well, of course, we are in the village. Like as I said, there are pockets of issues.
Okay.
Even my Baramatu Kingdom, Ward 4, Ward 2 is not, 3 and 4 is not left out in those pockets of issues. Okay. And I can authoritatively tell you that the issues have been resolved.
Okay.
And we strongly believe that by the time INEC come up with the next position, we'll follow in line with the electoral act.
Okay, thank you so much. But you know, just to assist us, we are in the business of informing and educating people. You know, we need to give you something like an open check to help us put the record straight. Our reporter, who was there yesterday and today, saw leaders of the two major political parties in the area. They bicker. And the issue of disappearance of, so kindly the disappearance of some beavers machines and co. So Chief, you are in a better pedestal to say what exactly happened.
Well, I was not at the scene when those things disappeared, but we were told that some few of the beavers disappears in Ward 3, which is the Opuruza ward. and over 30-something of them also disappeared in the Baramatu ward, which the ward, I think, is about 68 or 71 of it, of those polling units. So, and unfortunately, these things disappeared. But like as I said, the leadership, irrespective of party, as a kingdom, as a people, with interest in the leadership of the next administration, has to intervene and to make sure all these items that have been deployed to Baramatu Kingdom in any of these communities should be retrieved. And frantic effort was made, and those items has been recovered from those who took them away, and they have been handed over to the INEC authority. And those ones, some of them, even the INEC, we have confront them, and some of the INEC also admit some foul play among it.
Wow.
And those are the things that aggravated some of the political parties taking some steps. We need to just be frank over the issue. So the INEC team were also, there seemed to be like a compromise at some point, where we are accusing some other people, thinking that it was a particular group that may have done that. But then the INEC said, oh, those things were with them. So how will you dispatch some and head some back? So they were trying to give some prevent excuses, but then which did not go down well with a lot. And we have commissioned them to do the needful so that the election in this area will commence peacefully.
Okay, so the election we hold today or tomorrow, looking at the time?
Well, I can't say that, but I think INEC has the responsibility to reschedule the election, whether in this evening or it's tomorrow. But I strongly believe it might be likely be tomorrow.
Okay, all right. Thank you again. You know that we really need to ask that question, and thank God that we did. We've gotten a perfect answer, and the issue you've succeeded in setting the record straight. So, with this question, with this answer, flows the next question. How would you assess the performance of INEC?
Well, I think in other areas with what we heard, that INEC has performed extremely well, and the expectation that the result will be transmitted electronically or at the polling unit through the beavers. In some areas said is working, which I have not also confirmed. We just saw on the social media, so we don't know, we cannot authenticate it. And with what happened here, so I may not be able to give 100% to INEC, but I believe when we start ours, we'll be able to rate INEC from that process.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Yeah, I know it's part of your principle not to discuss parties, but we are going to touch, but briefly, an objective analysis of what happened in the last election and use it to compare or project what will happen in the ongoing process. The leading party in the state, the people's
election, because it has to do with the immediate people. So it's a neck to neck. Let me say that it's a neck to neck for the two leading parties in the state, and I believe God will help us and give us the candidate that will lead Deltans to the promised land.
Amen.
The two leading party and the candidate, they all have the capacity, the competence, and the ability to drive Delta to bring dividends of democracy, bring dividends of development to the people. Yes. So we believe that it's left for Deltans to choose through the ballot box. And so we cannot say this one is better than this. We believe both of them has the grassroots link, grassroots connections. And these are people who live with people. And so they are very friendly with all the electorate. They are very friendly with the state. So I strongly believe that it's a neck-to-neck election, and you cannot override any of them. Yes. So initially we were thinking that maybe the third force among is the Labour Party. But it is not too sound in this election at this moment. But so it's a neck-to-neck on the other two.
True. Again, thank you for the sincere analysis, Chief. Then I pray God will answer our prayers and give us that leader that will take us to the promised land. Then, if God gives, who knows? Maybe the personality is watching this program currently as we speak, without knowing that He is the one God is positioning. Chief, kindly advise him your expectations.
Well, my expectation, which is also my closing remark,
yes,
is that whosoever emerge from this process,
okay,
it is the will of God for you to become the governor of Delta through the ballot box by the electorate. So the first priority is the governor need to do a need assessment of Delta.
okay.
Thereafter, embark on people-oriented projects.
Okay.
People-oriented policies need to be formulated.
All right.
Then commence the developmental stride of the state. I will always say that when the governor comes, what he needs to think first is to think data. When he thinks data, he thinks development. When he thinks development, he thinks progress. When he thinks progress, he thinks unity.
Yeah.
When you think unity, you must think peace. So these 5 focal areas is where the governor needs to work on. And everybody will key in to follow him. If you miss it at the first beginning as a governor, and he came in to see or begin to see himself as a governor of a party where he want to use only his party members as executive member, where he want to use only his party member as his cabinet or his form the government of the state, it will not go well. I will advise anybody who emerge to form a unity government.
Okay.
Where all debtors will be carried along irrespective of your party affiliation. Where you don't need too many recommendations. Look at the capacity, the ability, the intellectual sagacity of that individual,
yes,
and identify them, bring them on board to work for you. There are too many corrupt processes. The reason is that at every time you even want to pick somebody in a particular area, you need somebody to recommend the person. And he will recommend his family, he will recommend his associate, he will recommend it. So you don't get the real hands, you don't get the technocrats, you don't get intellectuals. They will bring TAT, they will bring Agbero, and that is why you see that Agbero and TAT are take over the entire process. But if you sit down properly and set up, get a team that will deliver the dividend of democracy to the people, Delta will move forward. So any governor that emerges from this process should know that he is selected by God through the people, and he has to in turn appreciate the people through development back to the state.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief. In fact, we continue to thank you for always answering us. And not that you only appear. When you appear, you contribute both meaningfully and qualitatively. So we thank you so much, and each time we call that you answer us again. Thank you again. So hello viewers, we thank you. That was the voice of Chief Muladi Sherif. We all listen to him, from all indications, hope is not lost, and I key into his belief also. All we need to do is to play our own part, keep faith alive, faith and hope alive, and by doing the right thing. And part of that right thing that is expected of us is, electing the right people, voting not because I was given 3,000 naira or 5,000 naira, voting not because the House of Assembly aspirant is my brother, even when I know that he's not capable of functioning in that position, not voting not because the lawmaker, the would-be lawmaker is my church member. I think there's need for us to be objective in our, yes. One thing about truth is that when you see the truth, even when you cannot define the truth, but when you see it, you will know that this is the truth. So likewise, quality, when we see people that are capable, even if they are not close to us, we know that they are capable. So before the call came in, we were discussing and analyzing the issue, the past political leaders in the state. We talked about, the series of military administrators that, heralded the development of the state before they finally exited the platform, handing over the Chief James Onanefe Boris administration. That was in 1999. He led till 2007. He handed over to Chief Dr. Emmanuel Oduagan, who happens to be a cousin, going by report. He probably gave a very good account of himself, relatively, excelling in the areas of health and transportation, then partly in education. So, and he did his 8 years and handed over to the Anioma-born Senator Ifeanyi Auto Okowa, the incumbent governor. He led first, he completed his first 4 years in 2019, came for re-election and was, as usual, traditionally re-elected. And he'll be rounding off his second term by May 29 this year. That will be in a few months to come. The question is, how has this current administration fared? There are so many, is an administration that is, riddled, with issues and so many albatrosses hanging on its neck. If you ask me what do I mean, I will tell you that, the administration came at a time where there was a paucity of fund or economic crunch. So, and it was so visible that they were, the governor developed at some point, the governor, to the admiration of all, picked up, that effort within that time frame, earned him the roadmaster. But before we could realize what was going on, things started falling apart. Nigeria, Deltan started complaining about his poor performance and every other thing. Of course, that is natural. People expected him because, when the complaint should act as a feedback. But unfortunately, to the administration, for yet to be identified reason, none of those complaints were looked into, and it continued and continued and continued, and here we are, with a mass resentment and every other thing particularly against the party, and it's our hope and our prayers that things go on well and Deltans continue to thrive on the right pedestal. So that's our prayer, and it has been a very long day, and like we said, we are not relenting. It's our duty to keep you posted, and that is what we have promised to do, and we are doing it. And to make it more rewarding, it will equally be nice if you share with us your experiences and your feedback, comments and analysis and contributions. If you have any, you can do that by calling on the number boldly written on your screen, or by using any of our social media platforms, or most importantly, by going on our comment section right there and drop your comment. We'll definitely read it and equally make it pronounced for people to see understand your views. Okay, so while the election is still ongoing and we are cruising towards electing a new governor, the exercise is holistic, is ongoing across the state, though like our commentators and reporters noted earlier that there have been some pockets of challenges, and there are some areas where, even as we speak, election is yet to start. So it's our responsibility as a media organization to call the attention of the INEC in the state to take into account this development and take drastic steps to having them resolved. It won't be in any way nice for any Deltan that is willing and eager to vote to be disenfranchised for whatsoever the reason. So if looking at the time the election could not take place now, it would be nice if INEC reschedule the election for tomorrow in order to make sure that everybody participates. It will be very, very nice. But if they fail, those are the kind of actions that triggers protest and what have you. And it's equally nice that INEC do this, so that, like now, from contributions so far received, it's evident that INEC is on a redemption, mission using this particular election, because they abysmally performed during the presidential election. But now, most of the, reports we'll be receiving points to the fact that INEC, is alive to its responsibility. So that sounds alluring to the ears, and very, very applaudable on the part of INEC. But for this to be holistic, we call on INEC, as a responsible media organization, we call on INEC to equally take into cognizance the areas that issues of non-voting and whatever correlation those reports or concerns have taken, to take those steps and get these issues resolved. Have them participate in their vote. Warri South is a case in point. Thank God, like what our our guest that just left the studio told us, that is being attended to. That's a very wonderful step. INEC has transformed within the past 3 weeks. Is a sign that when there is will, there must be a way. Because, it is equally very, very commendable that the criticisms and whatever received 3 weeks ago, and has in no small ways made INEC to be alive to its responsibility. So the election, we are fast getting to the end of this 1 month exercise called electioneering period in the country, and we hope and pray that it's going to end well, and not just ending well, by way of voting and the declaration of results, that this effort will transform into productiveness, and dividend of democracy for the electorate, because Nigerians has been starved for a very long time of this reward. Likewise, the state, there's no exception. The challenge cuts across board, and we'll continue to pray and hope that our aim in this election will be achieved. We are going on a very short break any moment from now, and but before then, we still have 1 or 2 things to point out. Like we were talking about the issue concerning the performance of the current administration in the state. Reports we are receiving says something new and different. Yeah. For now, we are being joined by our correspondent. Sorry, he ought to have come, but the issue, we are experiencing some technical challenge, and as soon as that is done, definitely he will join us. What is happening in your area? Kindly get us informed. The election, it is Nigerian decide, but here in Nigeria, here in Baramatu Voice, we have coined out a very special title for it. We call it the Baramatu Voice Election Headquarters. And it has been a very busy period for all of us here at Baramatu Voice, all geared towards achieving one purpose: satisfying and serving you perfectly, giving you the needed information that you need to know before, during, and after the election. And that's what we promised you, and we'll keep to it, irrespective of how expensive or the sacrifice that is needed to have this fulfilled. So please don't go away. Instead of contemplating going away, we invite you to make your contribution. We invite you to give us your feedback. We invite you to practice that a new slogan called citizen journalism. By getting yourself involved, project your ward, project your unit by reporting how everything went over there to Baramatu Voice. And you know what? Baramatu Voice is the gateway, Niger Delta gateway to the world. As soon as that is done, the whole world will do what? Hear it. As it is currently, everything is moving on smoothly. Nigerians are happy, particularly in the 28 states where the governorship election is taking place. And we are being joined again by our correspondent who is currently on the field.
Thank you, Mr. Jerome. We are live at Okumabaye in Warri South. The last time we reported that in this place there were no beavers and voting materials, did not come on time for the people to vote, so they could not till the next day. But this time around, the beavers and voting materials come on time, and they casted their votes, and they have already done collation of results, and they are already counting the results here in this local government, and all the units in the local government have successfully done their votes and have also done collation of results in different units and different wards. Please let's hear what the people have to say about today's election, their opinion, and now tell us more about the election.
APC 38, APC 39.
What's your name, sir?
Obia College School Favor.
Have you cast your votes?
Yeah.
Finished casting?
Yeah, I've finished casting my votes.
Wow. Okay. Please, I want you to tell us what really happened during the election here today concerning the beavers and the ballot papers. Did they come on time?
Okay, unlike the presidential election, I think the INEC officials actually did better. Probably I'm of the opinion that probably because this Delta state is a PDP APC state, so they are shuffling the government between themselves. So they were actually anxious to bring the machines on time so that people can be able to thumbprint. Unlike the presidential election that I believe INEC was bought, and if not because people were able to mobilize themselves and go get the beavers, there would have been no voting. But unlike this, before 12, I came here by 12, there was no queue, people have already thumbprinted, some of them have left. So me, after thumbprinting as a good Nigerian citizen, I had to wait for the votes to be counted. So to the best of my knowledge, the election was actually fair and fair. Although the agents we are seeing on ground are even more than people that voted. Anyway, we thank God that the election so far was peaceful and the beavers did not malfunction.
APC 26, APC 27, APC 28, APC 29, APC 30, APC 31, APC 32, APC 33, APC 34, APC 35, APC 36, APC 37, APC 38, APC 39.
What's your name, sir?
Sir.
Which word are we?
Word 11, minute 15.
Okay. I finished counting votes. Okay. What's your message to the upcoming government, eventually if anyone emerges as government?
At least he should, what he promised us, he should fulfill his promise, not promising us this. When he gets to power, he's doing that, he just neglect the people who elect him. So he should not neglect us, he should fulfill all his promise to us.
What's your name, sir? Thank you so much. What's your name, sir?
My name's Evangelist Comrade
Andrew Ogenegbene Onebudiapo, the chieftains of the People's Democratic Party, both in Uwe and Yorisa precisely. We have come to make a good recommendation about the election. As people may know, PDP is a party who always wants the people to survive in terms of human capital development, infrastructure, and all social welfare being of the people. But over the past 8 years now, there is a propaganda of this all progressive Congress who has come to enslave the people, ensure the people of their mandate, and the people has been enslaved immensely in different areas. But we thank God today in the presidency election, people mandate were stolen by written result from nowhere. But thank God, even in spite of the nonchalant attitude of INEC, the peoples have been able to come out today and to tell them that the mandate cannot be stolen for the second time, and people has eventually came out in mass and vote for the party of their choice. So I want to use this medium to beg Nigerians that they should not lose their courage, they should not be reluctant, they should not be resilient. They should know that this time around, politics that we used to have in the past, whereby people mandate has been stolen, will no longer be seen. People must get their mandate.
Excellent, sir.
My name is Mr. Kelvin Ikoki.
Okay. How did the election go in this area today?
As for the process of the election, it's more improved than the governorship presidential election that took place on the 25th of February. As for the electoral materials, they came on time compared to the other time. As of 8 o'clock, we started accreditation. And even as it is now, just after 3 now, we just finished voting and waiting for an upload.
Okay, so the election has already ended.
It has already ended. But the only challenge we have in this environment is that the turnout is very poor compared to the previous election. You know, in the presidential election, there's this zeal, there's this momentum for persons to come out. But at the end of the day now, the result that were expected in the first election didn't go as the citizen plan. So in this time around, you can just see some youth around the corner playing football. Some of them are not even eager to even come around. But so far, like this unit now, this unit has a total number of votes of 914. This is unit 15. No, this is unit 14. It has a total registered voters of 914. But so far,
my name is Service, but I'm known to be DJ Fizzy, popular entertainer. I'm entertainer.
Okay. Did you come out to cast your vote today?
Yeah, I came out to cast my vote.
So how did the election go?
Election went well compared to the presidential election, which we have some delays, but in the governorship election, it went well.
At what time did the beavers and the ballot paper came?
When I came here, after it, they are already here. So by then we were doing accreditation and voting. People will vote and go home. So they came early on this election.
Okay. How would you rate the turn-up for this election and the previous one?
I'm really disappointed. The turn-up is really down. The reason is that I believe maybe the masses thought the presidential election, the things that surround the presidential election that makes them turn up down. People did not really turn up of truth compared to the presidential election. Because the last election, which is the presidential election, I saw the level of crowd in all the units, polling units that I went through. But when I went through most of the polling units here today, in governorship election, the turn up was really poor. It was really poor.
What's the message to the INEC chairman and the upcoming government of the state?
To the INEC chairman, I will say, when you say a word, keep to it. Because that is what discourages youths of not coming out. Because they believe that what happened in the presidential election was a disappointment to the youth. So when you say a word, keep to it.
Okay, then what about the government?
The government, I want to tell the government that anybody that is by the